Thanks for tuning in to STN Channel 2 News. I'm Chad Charette.
And I'm Sierra Phillips. Traveling Prosthetics Expo Bespoke Bodies has made its way to the University of Hartford's Joseph Gallery. STN has the story.
Bespoke Bodies is a touring museum exhibit that goes to different cities across the U.S.
The exhibition, which started in London, hopes to educate visitors on the topic of prosthetics. Each venue to host Bespoke Bodies contributes their own set of exhibits, be it bionic arms, cybernetic thumbs, and in Newhart's case, a custom-made prosthetic leg.
We did a casting of one of the patients to show the steps that are involved with when you first meet a patient that's an amputee to when they get their final device.
Bespoke Bodies has an exhibit for just about anyone. For history buffs like Jenna, there's plenty to see.
So there's a big wall of the timeline of the history of prosthetics, and then a leg that is circa World War I, they believe, which is pretty cool.
Striking visuals and historical curiosities aside, Jenna hopes that the exhibit will help dispel the unfortunate stigma against prosthetic users.
With all these advancements, people can do just as much or not more than able-bodied people can do. It shouldn't be looked at as something like a disability. It's an ability.
The venue is open from 12 to 6 Monday through Thursday and 12 to 5 on Fridays and Saturday. Bespoke Bodies will remain at the university until October 10th.
After last week's spike of 9 active cases, the University of Hartford's COVID response team is reporting only 3 active cases as of this past Tuesday. Of these cases, only 2 of them have been newly discovered, with 1 being a carryover from last week. These promising numbers are reflective of mass vaccination status across campus and the continuation of the Healthy Hawks social distancing protocols in and around academic buildings.
On the evening of October 9th, from 5:30 to 11 p.m., the Harfords and Events Activities team will be hosting a fall festival in F-Lot. There will be lots of fall activities for all to enjoy, such as pumpkin painting, roller skating, food trucks, and many more fun events, including apple cider and donuts. There are no signups for this event, so make sure to head out to F-Lot to attend the fall festival.
If we have any poets out there, UHart is looking to nominate 1 special person to compete with other poets around the state at the Connecticut Poetry Circuit Student Competition. The winners from the competition will go on to a Connecticut Poetry Circuit tour around the state in spring 2022, which will involve giving readings to many different universities and colleges around the state. And it gets even better. You'll be paid for each reading. If you have any questions, contact Grossberg at hartford.edu. And coming up on the show, the Connecticut population is finding new ways to make and lose money.
After that, some of CT's hardest working employees are demanding better working conditions after years of no change.
Then, a rival university is expanding their fair share of troublemakers this past month. And finally, Delion Tirado is back, and better than ever, on the weather desk.
Fancy pants peanut butter? A big screen television? You haven't even brought a sofa yet. A motorcycle? When your father finds out, he's gonna flip his shoes with 2 buckles? What do you even need 2 buckles for? Mr. Big Shot, buying whiskey shots for everybody in the bar. From the looks of it, I'd say nobody even remembers. Feed the pig.
I rescued Toast from a shelter in 2011. I love Toast because she's a lazy diva. Toast makes me laugh. When I walked into the shelter, I knew she was special.
What if you could invest in the future? The future of kids, like a stock. Not the kind of stock that's about making money, but a stock for social change. A whole new kind of investment called Better Futures. When you invest, it helps kids go to college. Believe in us, invest in us, watch us grow.
My name is Sydney, and I'm your dividend.
Hi. You think you're probably sober?
Yeah.
But you're thinking about taking the back roads home, just in case. Why would you do that?
Probably okay isn't okay. Call a cab, a car, or a friend.
Good choice.
we're bringing you the news as it happens on STN Channel 2.
It seems like I am making my return to the weather desk as autumn weather rears his head. I can't wait to tell you about the week ahead, but first let's take a look at how the weather is right now. So this week it has been a little cooler than what we're used to. We have a nice breeze going out, but the sun is making it nice and warm for us today. And you know, we see people wearing their sweaters, which I would recommend as it will get chillier tonight. So let's look at those numbers right now. So we're at a low of 46, really close to freezing temperatures, so, you know, make sure to wear your jackets. It's going to be 56 in NYC and 49 in Providence, so we're looking at, you know, mid 40s, low 50s. Let's take tomorrow's highs. And we're going to be at 75 at the U of H, so that's really nice. It's going to be warming up, 76 in New Haven and 75 in New York City. So it looks like a nice day. It's going to be warming up. Let's look at the lows. We have 53 at the U of H, 61 down at the coast at 60 at New Haven, and 62 at New York City, and up in Orono, 45. So, you know, it seems like it's going to be a little bit warmer this weekend, but I would still recommend a jacket. Let's look at Saturday's highs, Sundays. 76, so and 77, almost 80 at New York, and 83 in Trenton, so it is going to be a lot warmer. We thought we were going to get that autumn weather, but it looks like it's warming up for this weekend. Nice day to go outside. Let's look at the lows. Nice 60 at the U of H, 65 down in New Haven, and 64 in Long Island, so it looks like a really nice day to go outside and enjoy the weather on Sunday. Let's look at the 7-day. And it looks like it's going to be kind of rainy this weekend and this week ahead. We're going to even get up to close to the 80s, but it is going to be raining that day. So wear your rain jacket. Make sure you bring your umbrellas to your classes because it might be a little bit warmer, but it is going to be a little wet.
Adele, I was really shocked last night when I saw how much the temperature dropped, but it doesn't look like that's staying. It looks like we're going back to the weather we've been experiencing.
Yeah, it looks like we're at least going to get a few more weeks of a little bit warmer weather, though it is going to be pretty rainy next week. But tomorrow seems like a nice day to do fall activities.
Well, thank you, Adele.
Yep.
Months' worth of concern raised by educators culminated in a series of speeches and even a rally hosted by teacher unions at last week's Hartford Board of Education meeting. STN has the story.
As both a teacher and parent in Hartford Public Schools, I am also frustrated and upset that our district leadership feels the need to tell us to shoulder up, to pivot, or to go the extra mile, as though we have not already been doing this.
Laura Pano, a para-educator, called attention to the stagnant wages that many Hartford teachers have been forced to contend with. It's been over 6 years since Pano herself has seen a raise.
The cost of living has gone up 3% a year. And in 6 years, that would be 18%. My take-home paycheck for doing all this is $592.83. That's less than $300 a week for a position that requires an associate's degree. I have a bachelor's.
A standout speaker at the meeting was none other than Carol Gale. Gale is a seasoned educator and president of the Hartford Federation of Teachers, a labor union that seeks to advocate for education personnel in and around the local area.
Give teachers the time they need for distressing, debriefing, and collaborating.
These shared grievances culminated in what would come to be known as the Freedom to Thrive rally, a large-scale demonstration that took place directly before the board meeting.
We gathered for an hour before the board meeting and came out a couple hundred strong.
While specific issues differed, everyone at Freedom to Thrive shared the common goal of bettering Hartford's school system for both teachers and students.
Different messages, promoting wanting a say, having better health insurance and coverage for everybody, respecting our employees, compensating our employees.
Carol and the rest of HFT had been fighting for a revised health savings plan since last April. Her team calculated that the Board of Educators would save roughly $7 million under a newly proposed plan. According to Carol, they were less than receptive.
The board then took a couple of months to do their own numbers, came back and said, actually, no, our numbers say that we're not going to have any savings. But they worked on projected numbers. We were working on actual figures.
Carol ultimately hopes that Freedom to Thrive will lead to tangible changes rather than surface-level praise.
The superintendent and the Board of Ed constantly say they appreciate our staff. The actions don't match the words. We're looking for the actions.
At this point, there are no rallies scheduled in the immediate future. This is due to a gag order that will remain in place for many teachers during contract negotiation.
Governor Ned Lamont's emergency powers have been extended yet again, this time reaching all the way to mid-February of 2022. CT House representatives voted by an 80-60 split in favor of his executive authority on Monday, with the Senate approving by 18-15 on Tuesday. This extension was punctuated with the establishment of a new executive order that legally extends 9 previously issued orders on COVID regulations throughout the rest of the year.
Gamblers rejoice. Sports fans in Connecticut, as of this past Thursday, are now allowed to place bets in Foxwoods Resort and Casino and Mohegan Sun on sports games through a partnership with DraftKings and FanDuel, respectively. This change in the State Department Consumer Protection Law was made possible from a recent decision by the U.S. Department of the Interior. Patrons of the 2 casinos have already started enjoying the newfound freedom, with its first bets being ceremoniously placed by Governor Ned Lamont.
An update with a plane crash from last month that killed 4 people in Farmington, Connecticut, with the latest report from the National Transportation Safety Board revealing that the parking brake and the valve control were found in brake set position at the time of the crash. In addition, it has been established that the plane accelerated slower off the runway than the last 2 previous takeoffs, and witnesses report that the explosion resulted in a collision with a power line shortly after said takeoff.
3 students from Quinnipiac University in Hamden, Connecticut are facing disciplinary action after allegedly vandalizing the residence of an unnamed administrator. During one incident, an individual threw a rock into their residence. In another, the administrator had a letter taped to their door with, quote, inflammatory language. The incidents took place over the span of a few days and are believed to be isolated. Quinnipiac Public Safety Chief Reyes announced that the university will take seriously any act of violence or intimidation against any individual or group, and that they will hold those responsible fully accountable.
If you've ever been interested in the world of television, STN is a great way to check it out. Whether you're interested in producing, advertising, engineering, reporting, photography, directing, graphic design, or sports, we have it all. Stop by our office in General's Room 120G and try it out.
When we come back, R. Kelly is hanging his wings up because he can't fly away from this one.
Then, the land of the lost is here, right in the United States, and unfortunately, it doesn't look like Atlantis.
Finally, one of the greatest daredevils of all time is coming to court. Don't you touch that dial.
Did you know kids who play outdoors have healthier lungs?
Totally. I did. Did you know that boys that play with dolls make better husbands?
My son has lots of dolls. But did you know terry cloth diapers breathe better?
I did.
It's totally true.
Oh, yeah.
Did you know that strollers have the right of way on the sidewalk?
Yes. Yep, I did. Did you guys Did you know that kids who eat breakfast have higher GPAs?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. That's actually what I was going to say.
Did you know babies should never touch silver? It's really bad for them.
I knew that.
Did you guys know that statistically friendly kids have more friends?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's obvious.
Did you know most people think they're using the right car seat for their kid, but they're not?
Parents who really know it all know for sure that their child is in the right seat at the right age and size. Visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat to make sure your child is protected.
I'm putting that on my blog.
I just put it in mine.
Most of my family, they never graduated high school or even let alone go to college, so I'm trying to break that barrier. Every day after work, went straight to school, studied hard, and it paid off. I could not have done it alone. I see the future is really bright for me. The high school diploma is just added to the confidence, and now I feel unstoppable.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
And now, back to the news on STN Channel 2.
If you have an idea for a story you would like us to investigate or an event we should cover, let us know. Send us an email to tips@stn2.tv. Keep up with us online by liking our Facebook page, STN Channel 2, and make sure to get all of your campus news updates by following at STN2 on Twitter.
This week in Washington saw lawmakers scrambling to simultaneously pass legislation to avoid government shutdown. Maddie Lindsay reports.
Thursday saw all of Congress racing against the clock, as members had to find compromise on a government funding bill before midnight in order to avoid shutdown. And after a week of grueling negotiations, a new spending cap was passed with only hours left.
The yeas are 219, the nays are 212. The bill is passed without objection. A motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
The bill will support federal spending through December 3rd. Additionally, it will allocate over $30 billion towards Afghan refugee resettlement and natural disaster relief.
And with this continuing resolution, we not only keep government open, keep checks flowing to our veterans and Social Security recipients and the rest, but Hurricane Ida, its victims, other disasters eagerly await this bill, and also to meet the needs of the evacuees from Afghanistan.
The bill, however, is merely a short-term solution. Next, Congress is tasked with raising the debt limit by October 18th, as well as reaching a bipartisan agreement on Biden's infrastructure bill.
It's the Democrats that want to take on all this debt to pay for all of this massive spending.
We're just asking for Republicans to get out of the way.
Negotiations regarding the infrastructure package lasted until late last night but made little progress. The House has since delayed voting on the bill, especially as dissolving disagreements between Democrats alone continues to be a challenge.
My top line has been 1.5 because I believe in my heart that what we can do and what the needs we have right now.
This has been Maddie Lindsay reporting for STN2.
Thank you, Maddie. You can be sure that SDN will keep you informed on Capitol Hill happenings going forward.
Prince Andrew has accepted the lawsuit put against him by Virginia Roberts Giuffre weeks after being served. While being served is a relatively routine matter, Prince Andrew's location outside of the United States has made it more complicated. According to Giuffre's legal team, Andrew has been served twice, though not directly into his hands. Andrew's lawyers had challenged whether the international laws surrounding servicing were being followed. Giuffre claims Andrew of rape and sexual assault after being sex trafficked to him by Jeffrey Epstein when she was 17.
Pharmaceutical company Merck announced early today promising results from a newly created pill said to combat the worst effects of COVID-19 in half of trial participants. This presents a leap forward in the treatment of the virus, with all treatments up to this point requiring an IV or injection. The company is reporting that it intends on asking for health officials abroad to approve the pill and then the U.S. Food and Drug Administration for the fastest possible disbursement.
Former R&B superstar R. Kelly was found guilty on all high counts of sexual misconduct and abuse on Monday. Kelly had initially pled not guilty to all charges when he was first formally charged in 2019. The guilty verdict came after hours of graphic testimony from the accusers. Prosecutors described Kelly as a serial sexual predator who abused young women as well as underage girls and boys for more than 2 decades. Kelly will be sentenced May 4th of this year.
In Utah, the state's current case of extreme drought has recently revealed that the remnants of Ghost Town that had been underwater for several decades. The town surrounds a reservoir created in 1950s that flooded and was eventually submerged. However, this week, the reservoir's water level reached a record low and uncovered the remains of what used to be roads and homes. The drought is expected to affect major water sources statewide, as 88% of Utah is categorized as experiencing extreme drought.
Officials announced Tuesday that Pfizer has submitted data to the Food and Drug Administration to clear their COVID-19 vaccine for children ages 5 to 11 years old. The FDA expecting to take several weeks to analyze and clear Pfizer's data, which included over 2,000 5 to 11-year-olds. The trial used a 10 microgram dose rather than the 30 microgram dose given to those 12 and older. Pfizer is expected to make a formal submission to request emergency use authorization in the coming weeks.
A rather unlikely legal battle erupted this past week between the Walt Disney Company and the estate of deceased daredevil Evel Knievel. The subject, Keanu Reeves' Toy Story 4 character Duke Kaboom, an action figure characterized as Canada's greatest stuntman, the Daredevil's son, Kelly Knievel, sought $300,000 in damages, believing that Disney was profiting off of his father's image. The case was dismissed Tuesday when a judge concluded that Duke had enough artistic relevance to be protected under the First Amendment.
Well, I don't think we'll be seeing any daredevils in our next segment, but there's definitely plenty about More athletes.
Oh, I can tell you something. You won't be seeing me do any of those stunts. I can tell you that right now. I've missed you guys. It's been a long time. But you know what? I have another job to do, and I got to do sports, so let's get right into it. What's going on, everybody? After 2 long years, your man Brandon Stimson is back on the air. We've got insane new signings, injuries, trades, and all your favorite Hartford sports news. So don't go anywhere, because sports is next.
I realized that I'm not perfect. But it all really started to change because you judge me for having a problem. No one is going to know that I need help. I need help. I know that no one is going to judge me for having a problem. I realize that I'm not perfect, but it all really started to change because you listen.
Maybe you can make retirement happen. After all, you made home ownership happen. Homeschooling yourself on loans, beefing up your credit score.
So I'm pre-approved.
You were like, yes! Sorry. Color coding listings, ticking boxes, and flushing every toilet in a 20-mile radius. Home sweet home. You aced house hunting. Now get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
Most party fouls are pretty dumb. But if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Underage drinking and driving, the ultimate party foul.
And now, STN Channel 2 Sports.
And welcome back. Let's dive right into some Hartford Hawks breaking news. Some more unfortunate news coming out of the Hartford Athletics program, as it was announced this morning that the women's lacrosse team will be withdrawing from the America East 2021-2022 season. This comes after Jen Nardi was announced as the new head coach this week. Nardi said her staff is dedicated to recruiting and planning for a successful return to the conference next year. It is unclear if the team will play any non-conference opponents at this time. The women's golf team had their home opener this week right in Bloomfield. Let's see how the Lady Hawks did by putting it into the boards. In their tournament, the Hawks placed 4th at the Gillette Ridge Club. Sacred Heart stole the show at Hartford's Invitational and took home first place with a team score of 616. The Hawks had yet another freshman standout performance, with Madeline Adams shooting 151 throughout 2 rounds, helping her place 3rd in the individual competition. Adams in the second round shot her lowest in 5 rounds she has played in 2021. The men's golf team traveled to Yale to compete in the McDonald Cup. How would the Hawks fare? Let's swing it to the boards. And the Hawks end up settling for 9th overall. Michael Amari led the team by placing 14th out of the 80-team field. Amari carried a 7-over through the 3 rounds as fellow teammate Connor Byron finished 13 over par. Yale would end up taking home the title by edging Michigan by 4 strokes. Michigan sophomore Will Anderson earned medal by shooting a total of 14 under 206. The Hawks continue their season with a visit to the UConn Invitational at the Great Horse this upcoming weekend. The men's soccer team battled against Dartmouth on Tuesday night at the Zook. Were they able to hang tough at home and capture their 2nd victory of the season? Let's kick it to the boards. The Hawks defended their home turf and secured a hard-fought win with a final of 1-0. For 82 minutes, Hartford and Dartmouth were locked in a stalemate. Then, with time slowly ticking away, freshman Patrick Grzuski connected with junior teammate Adrian Knights-Brown, who would go on to net the game-winning goal. The Hawks defense did the rest. Hartford goalie Rodem Fadita continued his excellent start to the season, totaling 5 crucial saves. This was the 6th time in the last 10 games that Fadita and the Hawks defense allowed 1 or fewer goals in a game. The women's soccer team was home at the Zook yesterday as they continued America East play when they took on UAlbany. Were the Hawks able to keep their winning ways? Let's punt it on over to the boards. And the Hawks keep their unbeaten streak alive as they draw with UAlbany with a final score of 1-1. It was a double overtime thriller and a strong defensive battle from both teams. It was Hartford who started off the scoring in the 56th minute when Chloe Lane hit a shot outside the box and landed it in the net. It didn't take long for the Great Danes to respond as Jada Colbert slotted the ball past Maya Perez in the 62nd minute, and it was a stalemate the rest of the game. Volleyball opened America East play with a trip to New Hampshire. Were the Hawks able to come home with a victory? Let's serve it on over to the boards. And unfortunately, the Hawks dropped to 0-1 in conference play after losing to New Hampshire 3-0. The Wildcats proved to be too dominant, taking the first set 25-16. However, the Hawks made things interesting in the second set. After being down 20-12, they went on a 5-0 run to trim New Hampshire's lead. The Wildcats ended up hanging on, defeating the Hawks 25-22. The final set was all Wildcats. New Hampshire held a 17-10 lead and didn't look back, winning the set 25-20. Cameron Luganbull led the way once again with 11 kills as the Hawks dropped to 2-12 on the season. The New York Football Giants will be without one of their star defensive players for the rest of the season. Middle linebacker Blake Martinez suffered a torn ACL this past Sunday against the Atlanta Falcons. Martinez is in the second year of his 3-year deal with the Giants, but it is unclear when he will take the field again. And earlier this week, the undefeated Carolina Panthers traded for cornerback C.J. Henderson from the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Panthers also received a 5th-round draft pick, with Jaguars receiving tight end Dan Arnold and a 3rd-round pick. Henderson was picked 9th overall in the last year's draft by the Jags, but now finds himself with another team 1 year later. The Panthers hope he can be an upgrade at a position that they have been lacking since rookie corner J.C. Horn went on the IR. And some crazy news out of the NBA as Nuggets forward Michael Porter Jr. has agreed to a 5-year, $207 million contract. This past season marked his 2nd year in the league as he stepped up huge for Denver, averaging 19 points per game along with a tad over 7 rebounds. Porter resulted as the clear number 2 option after Jamal Murray went down with a torn ACL mid-April. With Murray expected to miss the 21-22 season, Porter is expected to share the most touches alongside MVP Nikola Jokic. And now let's throw it all the way back to 1961 when Roger Maris of the New York Yankees broke the single-season home run record with his 61st. He passed fellow Yankee legend Babe Ruth, and his record would stand until 1998, when Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa each passed it before Barry Bonds set the current record with 73 in 2001. And for upcoming games on Friday, cross country is at Lehigh for the Paul Short Invitational, and volleyball is at home against NJIT. On Saturday, men's soccer is on the road in Long Island taking on Stony Brook. And on Sunday, women's soccer is away at Binghamton, and volleyball is home against UMBC. And as always, you can catch all your live updates on ESPN3 or www.hartfordhawks.com.
It feels like I'm saying this every week now, but I'm wishing Maddie and Sarah the best for volleyball here
Absolutely. We always wish them the best. They're playing good seasons so far, so only the best for them.
And there's plenty of things to do around campus aside from watch sports this week, and the weather isn't too bad for it.
No, it's actually pretty nice. You know, nice, mild weather. You know, just bring a jacket and you should be fine, especially if it's going to be warming up this Saturday and Sunday. It's going to be in almost 70 on Sunday, so
Well,
very
that's
nice
good.
weather.
I don't have to bring out the jacket, huh?
Yeah, I'm hoping that the sports teams aren't suffering too much when they go and play at night. They're going to be playing in the 40s, which is the coldest it's been all year.
Right.
So.
But at least, you know, they're moving, so they get warmed up. You
Well,
know?
that's true.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, before you go to any of those sports games, actually in an hour from now, at actually a little less than an hour from now, 6 p.m., there is a diversity cupcake decorating event at the fire pit in front of, I believe it is the freshman neighborhoods. Yes,
yep.
that fire pit down there. So you can go down, you can decorate some cupcakes, make something pretty, and then eat it despite your hard work. And
That's
also,
the best part.
there's also a pretty cool event happening tomorrow at Lincoln Theater. There's going to be airing 2 short films. It's one starring Buster Keaton and another one starring Charlie Chaplin. They came out the same year that the Hart School was founded.
And I believe you said those films were from the 20s.
Yes,
right?
they're right from the 20s, right when the Hart School was founded. And there will be a student actually providing the accompaniment for the short films. So there'll be a guy on piano while the films go.
That's amazing.
That's fun.
Which sounds really cool.
That's a lot of
I've
fun.
never been to a silent film before, so I'm interested in this.
And then also, of course, the Hartford Women's March is tomorrow. It starts at 11. Not quite sure when it goes through, but I think that will be a very important event. And it is the last weekend for the Biggie.
Yeah, great weekend for it, too.
Have fun with it.
Well, thanks for tuning in to SCN Channel 2 News. I'm Chad Charette.
And I'm Sierra Phillips.
Have a good night.